I'm so glad that you're here today. Today's topic, if you feel like you might be broke or you feel like you might be poor, is there a difference? Do you feel like you're struggling through? Do you feel like other people are just getting more successful while you're stuck in the same spot? Well, maybe you're just broke or maybe you're poor. I'm going to dive into it today. And if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you one sort of mindset shift. If you change just one word that you probably use on a daily basis, it could literally change your life. So let's get into it right now.
Shut up and sit down.
I like to think that being broke is more of a temporary place, like you're just there visiting, and poor is the neighborhood that you live in. When we picture somebody who's poor, we really picture like somebody in a third world country. And if you live in a place where there's no economy, there's no government, there's no opportunities, and there's no food, and there's nothing, like in developing third world countries, most of those people, they're just poor. There's nothing you can do about that. There's also people who are oppressed, where somebody's got their foot on top of you. This happens in a lot of the third world countries also, but it happens in this country too. I feel like, the government oppresses the poor in this country to keep them poor because they need the poor to make them to make the government be needed. The more that government is needed, the more the people depend on them, the more they get stuck in this circle of being poor with the welfares and all the government handouts, the subsidies and everything. They sell that those programs are to lift people out of poverty. But if that was the case, they would have done it 100 years ago or 10 years ago or 50 years ago. But they haven't done it because the system is designed to keep people poor. Private industry is on the hook for keeping poor too. There's a whole business model. If you go into a poor neighborhood, you're going to see where you can rent furniture. You're going to see check cashing. You're going to see pawn shops. And the thing they all have in common is the short-sightedness of it. Think of a pawn shop. I'm going to go in and I'm going to give you my power drill for 30 days for $30, and I'm going to go wait till I get paid, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to get my drill back, but you're going to charge me 18% interest on the money you loaned me, that $30. It's the same with the check cashing. I just don't quite have enough to get to my next paycheck, so I'm going to pay you $10 to just cash my paycheck ahead of time for me. It's just this short-sighted, short-term, no future focus, and that's what keeps people poor. The other thing that keeps people poor is bad decisions and not having the ability to take responsibility for the bad decisions that you've made. See, if you're broke, you may be broke because you made a bad decision, but hopefully you have the foresight to see like, damn, I messed up. I did A and broke happened. When you're poor, it's not my fault. No, there's no opportunities. I can't get ahead. I don't have the right education. This person did something bad to me. Oh, the government's just taxing us. They need to tax the rich. It's the rich people's fault. That's the poor mentality, and that's what keeps people poor. When you're broke, you can just say, damn, I'm broke. But how do I get out of this hole that I'm in right now? You see, my friends, if you're watching this video on your phone or your laptop or your iPad, chances are you don't live in a third world country. Chances are you're not being oppressed by a dictator regime that's just exploiting you for hard labor in a labor camp. Chances are you're either broke and you're trying to figure out how to get out of that hole, or you may actually be poor. But if you're watching stuff like this, there's hope for you. Here's the key. Here's the thing I promised you in the beginning. Poor people say, I can't make more money. I can't go to college. I can't start a business. And then you can throw in whatever becauses after that. It doesn't matter. But if you could change the can't to how can I make more money? How can I go to college? How can I start a business? If you just change can't to how, things become possible. If you live in a neighborhood, say you live in the poorest neighborhood of whatever state you live in, and you're poor. There's a lot of poor people in this country. I'm not even gonna get into where the poverty line is and all that kind of whatever. But if you're poor, if there's a story of somebody that made it good and got out of the neighborhood and started a Church's Fried Chicken, or started a car rental company, or started a YouTube channel, or got a job with Microsoft, whatever it is, you can do it. If somebody from your neighborhood did it, why can't you do it? How can you do it? How did they do it? Look at how they did it. And then that might be how you can do it. So if you're broke, it's just a temporary bump in the road. Don't worry about it. You're going to get out of that. You know, what they teach you in school is get a job, save, and invest. And that's not easy when you're broke or when you're poor. You got to be smarter than that. You've got to think of what the hows are, not the can'ts. So don't think of the short term. Think of the long-term vision. Think of the hows. Notice that you don't see a pawn shop or check cashing stuff when you drive through a wealthy neighborhood, and figure out how to get out of those circles. You know, you do need to save money so that you don't have to pay $10 to somebody to cash a paycheck for you. But it's the little incremental changes that you can make, whether you're broke or poor, that's going to get you slowly to the next level. And as you keep climbing out of the hole that you're in, it gets a little bit easier. You get a little bit more air, a little bit more oxygen the farther you get towards the top. And it does get easier. I know it seems lonely and cold and muddy down there in the bottom, but just start climbing out. You'll make it out. And think of the long term and think of the hows and not the can'ts. This has been the Retire Mentality, where I want to change your mentality about how you think about money. Hopefully this made you think a little bit, and we'll see you in the next video.